Hey there everybody, my name is Keno and welcome back to your Toronto Maple Leafs franchise mode series. Now, we're still going through the 2025 offseason here with this Leafs team, and honestly, we're not done making moves yet, okay? Because we have a really good window coming up and I want to perfectly execute it upon it. Not saying that our current roster isn't good, but I think that we can properly utilize the remaining cap space we have to make this team scary, to bring success to our door. I remember hearing this quote from Steve Dangle. I might be a little wrong with it, but it was during a trade fair a few years ago where he said, if you don't chase the future properly, you will always be chasing the future. And this Toronto Maple Leafs franchise, whether it be in this series or in real life, has been chasing the future forever. But I believe it's about to be at our doorstep. We just have to open the door and let it in. We have to go over the top and make sure this team cannot be stopped. Okay? I still think we have a few more years left with this franchise mode series, but I also think that this up and coming year could be the year that we do it. Now, there's some questions still with the roster, and I mean, I have done other franchise mode series. I have the Butte Bandits one, I have the Montreal Canadiens series, and in those two, I have put together scarier rosters than this Toronto Maple Leafs roster. But I still think we can get this one there. I mean, if we look at our forward core, they're ready for next season in my opinion, okay? The only questions that I have are Pontus Holmberg, because he's making around 2.175 million for this year and next, and I really have him slotted on the fourth line right now. If even that, okay? I have some players that I want to sign through free agency. I have some targets in mind, but there might be some players still on the way out. Michael Carconi could be another one. Pontus Holmberg, obviously, as I said before. Even yet Kalle Jarnkrok. He's right now slated for that fourth line or a depth position. When it comes to Blake Wheeler, he is making 1.1 million, but that is a bearable contract. I have no problem with that. Carconi, Jarnkrok, and Holmberg are not. Even Iafallo isn't, but I don't mind him as much because he is more of a bottom six forward rather than just a pure fourth line forward. And Holmberg is in that same place where he is a bottom six forward, but we haven't seen much from him. 24 points in 58 games this season is fairly good value for a $2 million forward. Don't get me wrong, but in our first full season, he only had 31 points in 82 games. And again, $2 million for 31 points isn't that bad. But when there's players as good as Jesse Ylonen or AJ Greer or Brandon Tanev available for cheaper than $2 million, I don't mind throwing money at them. And don't get me wrong, there's other players available for under that too. Dakota Joshua, Jason Dickinson, Curtis Lazar, Yegor Sharangovich, Sam Lafferty. There's whole bunches of players available that we can grab for a cheaper amount. Defensively, we're even looking pretty good with everyone aside from Benoit signed for this year and next at minimum. But I still think we can add here. Having Jorian Donovan, I don't know how to say his first name. Jorian? I think it's Jorian Donovan and Juuso Välimäki. They're great pieces. Juuso Välimäki is my favorite addition that we've made to this team aside from Brett Pesce. And Brett Pesce's been great too. But I still think we can add one more surefire top four defenseman and either put Donovan or Välimäki onto that third pair. Probably Donovan because Välimäki is great with Pesce. And make this team scary on the back end. Because that's one thing that Leafs fans, if you are a Leaf fan, you'll understand, have always wanted is a scary back end. Not just offensive. Okay, we've had offensive pieces before. We have Morgan Rielly. We've had Jake Gardiner. Jake Gardiner was pure offense. He was decent defensively sometimes, but most of the time he was pure offense to the point that he was constantly turning the puck over. Leafs fans don't want pure offense on the back end. We want big, scary, mean defenders, and I have two in mind in free agency that I want to target. Before we get to that, another question you might be having is, can we do it with this goaltending trio of Hildeby, Woll, and Samsonov? And if you had any questions, I understand, okay? Samsonov is an 82, Woll is an 82, and Hildeby is an 82 currently. He might jump up a bit because he's still young. I think Woll has plateaued, and I think Samsonov definitely has plateaued. But we have to keep in mind that we did have UC Saros last season after a trade deadline acquisition, but he was the exact same as Samsonov, if not a little worse. Samsonov got into 35 games for us last season, notching 22 wins and a .905 save percentage with an under 3 goals against average. That's fairly good in these franchise mode series. That's actually really good. That's like a few percentiles better than average. And that's what we need, is a few percentile better than average. I could obviously go and give UC Saros some more money and see if he can backstop us to a Stanley Cup. I just don't think he's the guy for us. I think I'd rather run with this trio for one more season, and if it fails, next season at the free agency, we'll see what we can add then. And I say next season of free agency because we have depleted our trade capital. We have moved out practically all prospects that are not going to be integral pieces to us in the next year or two, and we've moved out practically all draft picks that we have, aside from a singular first round pick, I believe, in this up and coming draft, and then the ones that are like 4 or 5 years out that I don't like to use because that's just not that realistic. Although in this most recent NHL trade deadline in the real life world, there were a lot of future draft picks being moved around. But still, free agency is where we are going to be making our moves this offseason and next. That being said, I did make one trade between videos. I also made some staff moves, including hiring a new head coach because I believe that we needed a better chemistry, and the coach that we had a 58% chemistry with our team. I'm bringing in, hopefully, a coach that has a 68% chemistry with our lines, which is 10% better, and in this world, that's a lot. That's a lot. Now, you could be wondering who I'm looking to bring in. I mean, offensively, I don't think we need really anything, but there's still options, and I'm still going to consider a whole bunch. I mean, we could spend big money and try to bring in Taylor Hall, but we only have $11.165 million to spend, and spending it all on a forward doesn't make sense. That's where we get to the back end. And right off the bat, Victor Hedman's here. He's 34 years old, but he still looks like a beast, putting up 36 points, including 16 goals from the back end this season, logging major minutes. He's got great X factors. I keep forgetting what they're called. He's got great X factors, and honestly, his individual attributes look stellar. I have no problem offering Victor Hedman the money he's looking for, but I don't think we're going to be able to compete with his suitors. Currently, the Dallas Stars and none other than the Winnipeg Jets, back-to-back Stanley Cup champions, are interested in bringing him in. And yes, I would absolutely love to throw it at the Winnipeg Jets and sign Victor Hedman out from under them and take away a big option for them. But I don't know if we have the ability to contend with that type of money if we want to make any other moves in the free agency. I still have him high on the list, but the other person I was looking at was K'Andre Miller. Now, he is a restricted free agent, which, I mean, that might scare you off a bit, but he had 29 points this season with logging major minutes. He also has some pretty good X factors, and his individual attributes are almost as good as Victor Hedman's. He's almost an identical defenseman, and he's still young. He's only 25, and he has room to grow with that high top four potential. I think he is going to be my prime target. The Rangers don't have any cap space to match the offer that I plan to give him. And if you're thinking, how do you have the ability to do it? I made a trade with, I can't remember who, but I made a trade to reacquire my third round pick in this coming draft so that we can use that first and third combined to get K'Andre Miller. And now I know I said I'd use the first at the trade deadline, and I honestly meant that until I remembered that I had already designated it for this, okay? Now, it doesn't make as much sense to sign K'Andre Miller when we're losing a first and a third when we can possibly get Victor Hedman for free, aside from the money that we'd have to pay him. And if we drop his term, his asking price drops as well, but I have found that not a lot of players will sign for that reduced asking price. They want the one that they're asking for, with the term that they're asking for. He wants 2 years at $7.6 million. I could drop it to 1 year, overpay him a bit, give him $6.6 million. That still gives us roughly $4.5 million to spend after the contract's signed. Maybe a little more because EA's cap structure just never makes sense. But I don't think he'll sign for that. My plan, though, is to still offer him that. And if he signs for that much, Gucci, golden, we're good to go. We don't have to worry about anything. K'Andre Miller is gonna be here. That's just a fact, okay? No other team is really gonna jump in on the RFA pool, and the Rangers don't have the cap to sign him unless they make some sort of trade. If we lose out on both of them, that's gonna suck, because past them, there's not much. Ryan Lindgren would be great. He's that big defensive defenseman that people want. Well, not big, he's only 6 foot, but again, I'm 5'9", so he's 3 inches taller than me. But still, I don't know if he's the piece. Aside from that, Gavrikov, we could throw an offer sheet at Braden Schneider, I mean, he's big, he's young, he's got great defensive skills, he's a two-way defender, he could be a bomb for us. I mean, hell, if we structure this right, we could pull Keandre Miller and Braden Schneider. The problem is we can't structure right because we don't have our second round pick, and in order to acquire our second round pick, we'd have to give up more, okay? I wouldn't mind doing some offer sheet gymnastics and trying to get this to work. I just don't know if we have the ability to. I talked last video about possibly signing Dmitry Orlov, and again, I'm still not too passed on that. I might still do it. He looks decent. He's a left-right defender. He's got good individual attributes, but when it comes to when you have players like Keandre Miller and Victor Hedman available, you gotta spend the money on them. You do. Now, I have to nickel and dime as much as possible. He's asking for 6.475. I feel more comfortable offering him 6.55. But I will give him the 6.6 million. I mean, that's only $125,000 more than he's looking for, but that $125,000 it could come so vital to us in the future. And I mean, with Keandre Miller, he's asking for roughly $1 million less, and that's really good. And especially with an RFA, we can lowball him big time and give him a one-year deal, retain his RFA status, and see if we can sign him in the offseason when we have more cap to spend. I feel like this is the move we have to make. If we want to add more to our team, we pass on Victor Hedman, we go after Keandre Miller, we bring in the stable, big-bodied, two-way defender, and see what he can do for our team. But it's Victor friggin' Hedman. He's 2 overall points better. The only concern I have with him is that his overall is going to drop a bit by the regular season because he is 34. He does have that exact elite potential. I'm just nervous that that'll drop to top 4 and he'll be like an 88, 87, and then we should have gone for Keandre Miller. And you know what? I've talked myself into it. I have talked myself into it. Instead of offering Victor Hedman the money that he's looking for, or a little more, we're going to give Keandre Miller a short-term, 1-year, $5.25 million contract. It's $525,000 less than he's asking for, and about $1.35 million less than Victor Hedman would be signed for us if we were able to get him on that lowball deal. But I want to scoop up Keandre Miller before it's too late. Now, he probably will decline this. I feel like that's a little steep of a drop for us, but I have to nickel and dime. If he accepts this, that'd be great. We are a very high contending team status, so maybe he'll be able to accept that. But let's see, 1 year, $5.25 million for Keandre Miller. We'll be sacrificing our this year's first round and third round picks, but again, I'm fine by doing that. All right, so now we're just gonna have to wait for him, but I still have some other players that I want to sign to free agent contracts, and I will show you them as I go through and offer them their contracts. One of those players is Radek Faksa. You guys know when I saw him last video, I was over the moon. He's asking for league minimum for an 82 overall center. That right there is a better player than Pontus Holmberg. It's done. Signed, sealed, delivered. He's going to get his contract. I'm going to give him a little more so I make sure that I sign him. I don't mind giving him a little more as long as it's under $1 million. I'm fine with that. That's great. So 2 years, $850,000 for Radek Faksa. And again, I don't mind giving him term either because he's asking for under $1 million. Next season, God forbid, I bury him. That's fine. He goes to the minors. That's fine by me. Another player I'm going to give a contract to is Anton Forsberg. The veteran is looking for a league minimum contract, and he's 82 overall. I mean, we already have 3 82 overall goalies, but what hurt does it do to our roster to add another one? What if he does great for us? What if he is this year's Hamburglar, but for the Toronto Maple Leafs? Okay, we gotta take every option available. Again, I'm gonna give him 1 year this time at $850,000. And then why not? We're doing it again. Another contract being handed out. This one to a Stanley Cup champion in this franchise mode series. That is Laurent Brossoit. He won it in the first year with the Winnipeg Jets. In the second year, he went to the Colorado Avalanche as a backup tendy, and he did great there. Now, the Rangers are interested in him, and I wouldn't mind stealing him out from under them. So we're going to give him 1 year at $875,000. Again, that would be 4 NHL caliber goalies. 2 of them for under league min. I think 3 or 4 of them under league min. Or under the $1 million. That's amazing. Under a variable contract is perfect, especially when you have 4 goalies that are NHL caliber. They can do that. Man, we're getting bargain bin players here. So we'll wait to hear back on Laurent Brossoit. When it comes to defenders, I'm going to offer Dakota Mermis a 1 year $800,000. Actually, no, 1 year $775,000. I can go league minimum with him. He's a 79 overall, but his individual attributes look great, and I wouldn't mind adding him for depth. Another depth defender we're going to offer contract to is Curtis McDermott. Again, 1 year, $775,000. Look at the value we're getting right now. Another league minimum contract, this one I'm going to give a little bit more money to because I really want him on the team, is Jesse Alon. And if you watch the Montreal Canadiens series, you'll know that I love him. I love him. I've been trying to fit him into that roster, but that roster is so scarily powerful that I can't do it. But here, I think I might be able to do it and give him a shot with this Toronto Maple Leafs lineup. So we're going to give him 2 years at $850,000. Another player who's going to be getting a contract, this one a little bit more expensive, but still at that $1 million mark, is Grigory Denisenko. He's looking for 2 years. He's 25 with low top 6 potential, but he is 80 overall with some really good individual attributes. He could get a shot with the big club. I mean, it's all about adding depth pieces that could blow up for you, and Grigory Denisenko could be one of them. So we're going to give him 2 years and $1 million a year. And finally, the last contract I'm going to offer, because I believe I'm running out of roster spots, is John Leonard, okay? I think he looks good. He's left wing, right wing. He can play both sides of the ice. He's a value contract here. I still want to keep some roster spaces available, so we're going to give him 2 years at $775. I mean, I don't mind if I don't get him too much. This is more of a last-minute depth option. All right, and I have a trade to announce. We're going to be moving on from prospect Roni Hirvonen, Kalle Järnkro, goalie prospect unsigned A. Bure, a third-round pick 2 years from now, and a third-round pick 3 years from now, to the Chicago Blackhawks for our second-round pick in this year's coming draft. Now, you might be thinking, you're going for Braden Schneider. That's what you're doing. You said you might do it, and you're going to do it. No, I'm going for insurance. If we miss out on K'Andre Miller, we'll have our first, second, third, and fourth-round picks still available, and I wouldn't mind giving up our second in order to acquire Braden Schneider. If we do get K'Andre Miller, we'll only have a fourth-round pick in this year's draft. That's it, unless we make some trades throughout the season. I want to do this for insurance. I want this second round pick back because, honestly, if we get Faksa, we don't need Hirvonen. Okay? Järnkro's making nearly $2 million. He's going to be on a fourth line, if not depth. We need to move out cap. And this is not going to be the only trade I make. I'm still going to be trying to recoup assets. Let's see. Hirvonen, Järnkro, Bure, and 2/3 for a second round pick in this year's draft. Will this go through? It does. Okay. That is a big move for us, and I said I'm not done. And the second trade I plan to make is moving Michael Carconi and Ivan Prosvetov plus a 7th round pick 2 years from now to the Colorado Avalanche for a 4th round pick and a 6th round pick. Now it's heavily skewed in our favor, so I might be able to switch this 6th round pick out for maybe a 4th round pick next year, or maybe even go like a 3rd and a 6th. We'll see if this goes through, if they accept that. They do. Okay. Oh my gosh. Okay, I got lowballed here. I got lowballed a little bit, but that helps us big time. That moves us up to 6 picks in this coming draft. Now, if we get K'Andre Miller, we're going to lose 2 of them. If we want to, we can still go for Braden Schneider and have 3 draft picks left. That is a much better stance than we were in just 30 seconds ago. This team is a little bit better off, aside from the 2027 draft. That's not going to be that great. That's going to be a little rough. I mean, a 1st and a 4th, but that's really where we were standing before this video even started. We only had our 1st and a 4th in this year's draft before I made a trade to acquire the 3rd round pick that we'd had. I believe the Columbus Blue Jackets had it. I can't remember. It was a team in the C column. But now with all that said and done, there's nothing left to do but wait and see if we do sign all these players to these contracts that we want to get them to, and to see if we get a new head coach and a new scouting staff. We have retooled. We have done it on the fly to make sure that this team is still competitive. I mean, if you're not a revolving door of players, you're not doing it right. Look at the Vegas Golden Knights. Every offseason, they're moving out players and moving out cap to try and stay competitive. A few years ago, you might have thought that Max Pacioretty trade was absolutely bonkers, moving him out just for future considerations. But now look at it. They got all that cap space back for nothing. That's all they wanted. When they moved out Marc-Andre Fleury, they moved him for Mikhail Hakkarainen. Do you guys even know who he is? Nobody does. He's not in the NHL anymore. They needed that cap availability. I don't mind moving out staples of this team for pretty much nothing if it keeps us competitive and gets us signed these bargain bin players or these capable players, okay? If we get K'Andre Miller and if all these contracts signed, we're still going to have like $4 or $5 million to spend with almost a full roster, okay? If my plan goes according to plan, if everything falls into place, we're still going to have space to add another player here at free agency. Now, the amount of players that might still be available come July 7th, 8th, 9th, that's a different story, okay? I'm a little nervous about that. But we're still going to have a good crop of players to pick from, hopefully. I mean, taking a look at the forwards, what, am I going to give $3.9 million to Adam Henrique? We're going to have a bit of a backlog on the forwards anyways. I could give some money to Cam Atkinson or Jakub Vrana. I mean, he is very good. His individual attributes are great. He's speedy. He's got a shot. He's got offensive awareness. That would be a great complementary player. But we've got our forwards pretty locked up. If I'm going to spend more money, it's going to be on that back end. So let's waste no more time. Let's get through this free agency period and get going. All right, so the scouts are signing constantly. Hopefully we also get that coach to sign as well. I did offer a 20 scout contract, so this might take a while. And we do get the head coach. Skylar Draper is now our new head coach, and his record is a little spotty, 61, 92, and 11. But we got him for cheap. Okay, that doesn't really mean anything to us, but his chemistry was great for this team. If it doesn't work out, we'll bring up the coach again. I kept the other coach. I just moved him down to associate coach, NHL associate coach. So we still have the ability to juggle around our coaching staff. But this is a good step in the right direction. And we have more scouts. All right, coach signed. All the scouts have signed. We have a new scouting lineup. We have a new coach. It's looking good. Now can we get some new players? So Laurent Brossoit has accepted the offer. Curtis McDermott has also accepted. Radek Faksa has accepted. Grigory Denisenko, perfect. Jesse Alonen, beautiful. Anton Forsberg, beautiful. Dakota Mermis, beautiful. John Leonard, beautiful. Okay, now let's make sure that we have a space available for K'Andre Miller. We do, and somehow we have more cap space than when we started. Oh, right, we made the trade, sending out Carconi and Yarncrow. Guys, this is looking good. This is looking good. Now it's just one more day to find out. Did we get K'Andre Miller? K'Andre Miller rejects the offer we've given him. He's quite clear on what he was looking for, so we got to up the offer, unfortunately. And with Victor Hedman off the board, the clock is now beginning to tick. So I am going to offer K'Andre Miller 1 year at $5.5 million. All right, so we've offered K'Andre Miller that higher contract. There's still some players available that I could add, including defenders and forwards, but I really need to make sure that we get him before we sign any other contracts. So let's see. He has accepted the offer. He's currently unable to join until his team, currently the Rangers, decides whether they want to match it or not. So that is big news for us. That's big moves for us. And we still have $6.875 million to decide what to do with. And unfortunately, one of the players that I was looking to nab is off the board. Brock Besser signs a contract with the Washington Capitals for 4 years at $7.12 million. So I wasn't going to be able to get him anyways. I was going to lowball him heavily, but I was interested in bringing him in and putting him on Matthews' wing, if I'm being completely honest. And now with that contract officially signed, kind of, by K'Andre Miller, because the Rangers can't match it, we're going to give Jakub Vrana a 1 year, $2 million contract. And I still plan to spend the rest of that money, but I want to wait and see still. Prices are going to drop, and I want to see if I get Vrana. There's another target in mind, but I have multiple targets in mind. I'm trying to be as like 5,000 IQ as possible. Let's see. And look at that. The Rangers couldn't match the offer. We lose our first and third round pick this year, but we do gain K'Andre Miller for 1 year at $5.5 million. And again, it might seem stupid to give him 1 year, but that gives us the ability to negotiate a new contract and have time to negotiate a new contract at the end of this season. It is beautiful all around. You'll love to see it. I'm happy to be joining your team, as my original team did not match the offer sheet. Damn right they didn't. K'Andre Miller, you are a Toronto Maple Leaf. And Jakub Vrana, you are a Toronto Maple Leaf. And somehow we have more cap space than before, going from 6.875 to 7.225. I don't know how the maths, but the math that way. And you know what? Why not? We're going to give Braden Schneider a 2 year, $3.75 million deal and move on from that second round pick. I think that's the way to do it. Honestly. So yes, we'll be giving up this year's second round pick, but we are in win now mode. I don't need draft picks. I need wins. And again, the Rangers probably won't be able to offer him anything, so we're going to wait and see. There's still some players that I wouldn't mind signing. Sam Bennett was one of them that I was taking a look at with 35 goals this season. His price might still drop. And obviously Taylor Hall, I wouldn't mind bringing him back, but his price was a little exorbitant. I wasn't willing to give him pretty much the entirety of the cap, and especially that term. But now let's see. Do we get Braden Schneider as well? Riley Walsh has accepted the qualifying offer. He's willing to devote another year of his career to the franchise. You haven't played for us yet. But Braden Schneider does accept the contract. That's amazing. Now let's see if the Rangers will match it. And the Rangers don't. So we not only take K'Andre Miller from them, but we take Braden Schneider as well. And it cost us a first, second, third, Kalle Yarncrow, and Roni Hirvonen, and 2/3 2 years from now. So maybe that's a little extreme if you think about it that way. But in my opinion, that might be a Stanley Cup right there. That might be a Stanley Cup right there. But we do bring on Braden Schneider, we bring on K'Andre Miller, we bring on Jakub Vrana, Radek Faksa, whole bunches of players, and we're not done yet, because we still have $4.275 million to spend, and now I expect to go a little bigger. I was thinking about Andrew Mangiapane because he's another affordable player. He didn't play that much this season, only 7 games with the Calgary Flames, but he had 42 points in 82 games in that first season, so he looks decent. His individual attributes are all good. He definitely would be somebody I'd be interested in, especially 1 year, $2 million contract. That'd be great, but I want to spend a little more money. And unfortunately, I think if I want to spend a little more money, I gotta wait a little more. We could bring in Phil the Thrill. We could bring in Hot Dog Boy, bring him back to the team. I would love it. He had a great season with the Rangers, 27 goals, 27 assists this last season, playing around third line minutes. Yeah, he'd be great. I don't know where he would go. He would be a third liner, if not a fourth liner. I'm not allotting money to that. So we are going to wait currently, and we're going to see, okay? We're going to see what happens. No, I don't want John Marino. Our defense is now stacked. Unless we move on from Jordan Donovan and bring in John Marino, but it doesn't make sense, especially move on from Elias Solomonson. All right, we are now at August 1st, 1 month into free agency. No, we're not going to be simming any games in this video. I'm sorry if that's what you're looking forward to. I just want to add more and more pieces, okay? All right, we're going to move the newly acquired Riley Walsh right out the door again. He said he has decided to give us another chance, even though he never played with us before. He was a little stubborn about it. I know that doesn't make sense, but we're going to move him to our rivals, the Winnipeg Jets, for a 4th round pick. Will this go through? It does not, so we just got to lower it down a bit. I don't mind grabbing a 6th in this. So Riley Walsh for a 6th round pick from the Winnipeg Jets. Does this go through? No, it doesn't. See, nobody else wants him. Riley Walsh for a 7th. I don't mind that. Let's go. There we go. Riley Walsh is off the team. That frees up 1 spot available. All right, guys, I'm at a little bit of an impasse here. There's a lot of teams now after these top 4 players, and I'm trying to make the best bang for my book. Now, I was looking at Taylor Hall. Obviously, he was with us last year. We acquired him at the trade deadline, and I don't really want to lose him, but we are about $800,000 out of it. So unless we moved on from Pontus Holmberg to bring in Taylor Hall, I don't know. I don't even know if we'd get him at that point. There's also Josh Bailey, who had 71 points in 82 games and minus 16, though. He did great. He's got great individual attributes. Obviously, that connection between him and John Tavares would be really nice to add to, but he is 35. He would be a third-line winger for us. I don't know. I don't know if he fits. The other option would be Sam Bennett, 35 goals this season. That's big. He's really fast. He's really aggressive. He's got a powerful shot, and he can play defensively nonstop. That would be my ideal pick, okay? That'd be who I would like to add. Having Bennett, Matthews, Marner as that top line, Grebyankin knocked down to the second line, or Nyes on the second line, I'm not sure. We have to really see what we can do. And then dark horse being Ryan Johansson, okay? 16 goals, 28 assists. He had 44 points this season, 50 points last season on the Colorado Avalanche. I mean, he is 33, but his individual attributes are very well-rounded. He's got a great shot. He plays well defensively. He's okay with speed, good offensive awareness. I mean, he's not too bad, but I don't know if him and Josh Bailey are the same price. I think I'd rather go with Josh Bailey over Ryan Johansson. There's also players like Andrew Mangiapane still available. He could be really big for us. And I mean, 2 years at $2.4 million, that's not too bad for a guy who could put up a lot of points. And there's Yegor Sharangovich. His individual attributes aren't the greatest. His defensive category is pretty good. His offensive awareness isn't that bad, but I'm not too sure about it. I'm almost tempted to stand pat with what I have. Okay, I mean, our lines currently look like Grebyankin, Matthews, Marner, Nyes, Tavares, Nylander, Robertson, Minton, Vrana possibly. I mean, we still have to get Easton Cowan into the lineup. We've moved on from Calle Jarnkrok. We've moved on from Michael Carcone. We still have Pontus Holmberg. We have a almost full top 9, especially with Yolonen and Faksa. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what to do here. You know what? We'll let fate decide. I said that I was really interested in Sam Bennett because of his defensive category as well as that 35 goals, and I still am, okay? I don't think we're in the running for Taylor Hall unless we make a big move and send Pontus Holmberg out, and that just seems not like the move I want to make right now. Again, we're not even signing Sam Bennett to term. This is almost like a self-rental that we're doing here, so fate is going to decide. We're giving him under what he's asking by about $50,000. Okay, we are a contending team. There are other contending teams like the Kings and the Lightning interested. I don't think he's going to go to the Blackhawks unless they heavily overpay. So we're going to see if he accepts this 1 year, $4.5 million deal. Let's wait and see. Aside from that, if we don't get him, I think we're going to lose out on everyone else. And that's fine by me. I mean, as I said, this is fate deciding for us. So now it's all about simming, and Sam Bennett has gone to the LA Kings. He doesn't think he would get enough playing time based on our high quality roster. That's a kind of good sign. Like, it's a compliment. Like, hey, you guys are too good. You won't even be able to fit me in. I'm not sure about that, but, you know, I'll take it. And with that, pretty much everyone's off the board. You know what? The last contract I'm going to offer out is a lowball offer, or not lowball, but a cheaper offer to Rasmus Kupari. He's got great individual attributes. He's 25. He could possibly grow. Okay, the Caps and the Blackhawks are interested, so we might not be able to get him, but we'll see. We'll see. I mean, I'll bump it up to 1.8. It's a 1 year deal. I don't mind. We'll keep his restricted free agent rights after this season expires anyways. I don't mind. Let's see if we can get it. And Rasmus Kupari right away signs with us. He's truly humbled that we offered him such a lucrative contract. So I guess he was really not getting a big money offer from the Caps or the Blackhawks. But that's it for us in free agency. Let me jump to the beginning of the season. I'm sorry for how long this video may have been. But we'll jump to the beginning of the season and I'll show you the current lineups. All right, guys, I might have gone a little overboard. Okay, I might have forgotten some of the players that we had on our team. I might have forgotten some of the players that I had acquired at the draft. You'll see more so with the defense what I mean. But currently the lines are Grebyankin, Matthews, Marner. Grebyankin up to an 85 overall second line forward. His individual attributes look great. Great shot, amazing speed, great offensive awareness. He looks like he's going to be great for us. I don't think I said great enough times when I was talking about him. Second line, we have Easton Cowan with John Tavares and William Nylander. I don't mind moving Tavares down to the third line. The only reason I have him here at the second line right now is because of that line chemistry boost. Third line, it's Robertson, Minton, Nyes. And then fourth line is Iafallo, Faksa, Holmberg. Now, there's still some movement to be done with this bottom six. I don't think any of these players will find themselves in the bottom, but maybe Holmberg can jump up. I don't know. I mean, $2.175 million for a fourth liner is a little much for me, especially considering Iafallo is like $1.5 million and Faksa is league min. So, but for the defense, you'll see we're a little stacked. I forgot about Alexander Nikishin, and currently our lines are Keandre Miller and Alexander Nikishin on that top pair, Riley and Pesci on the second pair, and Valimaki Schneider on that third pair, with Jorian Donovan as a healthy scratch. And that doesn't sit right with me, especially since we gave up Abruzzese and a pick, I believe, for Jorian Donovan. But you can't deny that this team looks good. I mean, Keandre Miller, 87 overall. He's still got room to grow. 92 offensive awareness, 90 defensive awareness, 93 stick checking. He's great physically. He can move. He can skate well. We have him signed for this year, and we can still get him extended at the end of the year. And Alexander Nikishin, 92 offensive awareness, can't skate as well, but he's still got good puck skills, decent defensively, pretty decent physically. He looks like he's going to be a good player for us. And then Braden Schneider listed as a top 4 defender, and his individual attributes look great too. He's not as good of a skater, but he is hella physical, hella defensive, and he can possibly grow his two-way game. Guys, we have stacked up our team. We have stacked up our team. And think about this. If Nikishin and Schneider become really good, we can afford to move on from Brett Pesci. Do you see what these moves have done for us? We have really set ourselves up here. And then in net, it is 84 overall, Dennis Hildeby and Ilya Samsonov, with Joe Woll as the floater. And as you can see, Grigory Denisenko and Jorian Donovan are also scratched. I don't want Woll as the floater. Okay, we all know as Leaf fans that Woll is going to be the starter for this team. He just couldn't get there. Okay, he was injured for a bit of the first season and he didn't really grow. And the second season, he just didn't do well. 878 save percentage, 375 goals against average, 10, 9, and 3 through 25 games. He wasn't really a playable goalie. It's unfortunate that he didn't develop in this series. That's just the way it works sometimes, though. He's still going to get some ice time for us, but guys, this team looks great. This team looks great. I mean, Matthews is a 97, Marner's a 96, Nylander's a 91. We are going to be unstoppable this season. Hopefully. But that's going to wrap this one up here. It's a bit of a long one. I know it because honestly, I've recorded 2 25-minute segments plus a 15-minute segment plus another one. So it's going to be long unless I do a lot of editing. So we'll see what happens. But thank you guys so much for joining me. And we still have Jakub Vrana, Rasmus Kupari, Blake Wheeler, Max Ellis, Kiefer Bellows, Dmitry Ovchinnikov, Ty Cartier, Braden Kressler, Ryan Tverberg, Ty Voigt, Nate Smith, and John Leonard. in the minors. Plus, defensively, Simon Benoit, Connor Timmins, Vianney Arroyo, Josh Mahura, Logan Stanley, and Elias Solomon, who is ready to come up to the NHL. We are going to be ready. We are going to be ready. If we have to make moves this offseason, we will. We'll call up Solomon. I expected Vinny Iorio to get some NHL ice time this season, especially with how good he did last year, but I needed to make sure. We are ready to win, and we are ready to win. But that's it for this one. Thank you guys so much for joining me. If you like this one, please leave a like down below, and only this will know what type of content you want to see more of. If you really like it, then why not consider subscribing? You can do it on a 30-day subscription, 30-day trial run. If you don't like it after 30 days, you can refund. You can unsubscribe. It's free of charge either way. It doesn't really matter. But thank you guys so much for joining me. This has been a blast, and I'll see you guys as we take this team to the 2025-2026 NHL season.